So we met 3 weeks before he left for Marine Corps boot camp. 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which is generally
probably not the best idea. And we went on a date a week later, and so we started dating 2 weeks before he left for boot camp. Like the first 2 weeks, our relationship was kind of on hyperdrive, first kiss, holding hands, going on as many dates as we could. And then it goes for 3.5 month. We don't see each other. We don't talk to each other. The only communication we have is letters.
Yeah.
That's all we have. So we got good at writing letters. I still have those letters, thank the Lord. I still have those letters. Sending Bible verses. But before you left, literally right before you left, the most profound thing you said, and probably to this day, no offense, is if we can make it through boot camp, we can make it. And here we are. It will be 9 years in end of June.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the You Are Story podcast. I'm your host, Gabriel Hoff Jr., and I'm so glad to have you here. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, make sure you follow on the streaming platforms. That's iTunes, that's Apple Podcasts, that's Spotify. Make sure you go ahead and do that and leave a review, leave a rating. That'll be greatly appreciated. And it'll just give me more ideas, give me more tips and stuff like that. And just to see what y'all think about each episode. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to leave a comment. Make sure to leave a review. Make sure to turn the post notification bell on so you can be notified when new episodes come out. If y'all didn't already know, I'm doing bi-weekly right now just because I got a lot of other stuff going on. But once I get that handled, it'll go back to weekly. But I'm just doing bi-weekly right now because there's a lot going on in life and stuff and work and family and stuff like that. So, sorry for that. But just to let y'all know, I just wanted to let y'all know it'll be bi-weekly for the next couple months. But without further ado, I got a couple special guests here for y'all today. This is a couple that I've known for a while now. And, they've been such a great help, not only to myself, not only to the family, but to the church. They're always helping out whenever there's a need. They're always willing. They're always, some of the first to step up and say, hey, I'll take care of it and stuff like that. Very involved with the children's ministry as well. And, just a great help to the church and a great help to the kingdom of the Lord. I got my friends, Neil and Amber Layden. How are y'all doing?
Doing good.
Doing well.
It's good. Thank y'all for being here. I know y'all are busy. Y'all got a lot going on. Y'all got a family to take care of. Y'all got a lot of stuff. So, thank y'all for taking the time out to be here. I really wanted to have y'all on here, though, because I know we didn't discuss a topic, but there's been something on my mind that I wanted to share with the both of y'all that we could talk about. But before we get to that, something I like to do in every episode, I like to remember when and how I met people. So before I met y'all, I actually met your parents, David and Beth, Neil's parents, by the way, Neil's parents, David and Beth. They had been coming to the church for a while. Beth sang in the praise team and David helped out around the church as well. And then I think through them, I met Brad. Mm-hmm. And then through Brad, that's when I eventually met you, Neil. And then through you, Neil, that's when I eventually met Amber. Yeah. So it's kind of like a whole chain of events. Yeah. But I just like to remember when and how I met people because I like to see the progression of the friendship and, the relationship and stuff like that. And so we've known each other for a few years now. I don't remember exactly how long. But
I think we have come here 4 years in next April.
Maybe.
Because
somewhere around there.
It'll be 5 years that we moved back to Monroe at the end of September.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be about maybe 5 years. I don't know. Something like that. 4 or 5 years.
We may have met before that because I came to East several times when my parents were coming here.
Yeah.
Too, so it's quite possible.
Yeah, I think so. Because were you at the, I remember they had a pool celebration thing at their house. I
was there, yeah.
Yes, we were at that. And
it was a while ago.
Yeah, the ice bucket challenge.
Yeah.
So me and him did that. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that was a long time.
That was a
while
long time
ago.
We lived back in Florida.
I was
there, but yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Whoa.
I'm thinking back because I think that was when I was a part of the youth group.
Yeah.
And so that was probably middle school, maybe.
No.
Not that far. Maybe high school.
Yeah. Well, I was like, we were married by then.
Were we?
Yes.
Maybe you just got married.
Yeah.
We probably just got married.
I'm still living in Charlotte. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, I just like to do that to see how far, the friendship has grown and everything.
Oh yeah, and it has. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Now I feel like I'm like old enough to where like I'm actually able to have comprehensive conversations with y'all.
Funny thing is, I used to say the same thing. I'm like, okay, I can't talk with these people because they're adults. But like when I turned 20, I'm like, I still felt like a little kid. And then when I turned 30, like he was great. Like all the guys in my life were like, oh, I'm turning 30. And I'm like, finally, I'll be taken seriously.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what it's just personal, but I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. And I think part of it too is when, I started doing the welcomes, and I was kind of like, I went from kind of just being like the young kid in the church to actually people actually kind of seeing me and talking. Cause I used to not talk at all. And now I get up there and I talk every week. So now it's kind of like, it opens the door to more conversation and more friendship and stuff like that. So yeah, that's awesome. Once again, I thank y'all for being here. I'm cool. I'm excited for this episode. But, my first question to y'all is, since y'all are here together, and I'm interested to know as well, how did y'all meet?
I'm going to let her tell the story because she tells it better than
well,
I do.
you can
I'll fill in here and
Thank
there.
you. So I'm originally, I'll go back to like little tidbits. I'm originally from California, moved when I was 15 with my parents. Found a church called Harvest Chapel, right?
Yeah.
It was an Indian Trail right on, I guess, 74 down there, still Independence, whatever you want to call it. And when it was a youth lake retreat, I'd gone to a couple of them before, and this year I was like, well, this will be my last one. We had both graduated high school. Again, we didn't know each other at this time.
Yeah.
So I'll go to my last one, and I'll tell a little bit of like, I wanted a boyfriend like all throughout high school, but God did not bless me with that. Like right not until my senior year, I had a boyfriend for 1 month, and 2020 was like, I wish I'd never had that first boyfriend, but I needed to know I had to have that first one to have my future husband. Anyway, I had told the Lord, I was like, Lord, like I really want to find something in college. Can you bless me with like that relationship? I think I'm old enough, whatever. It's like, but I'm not going to go searching for it anymore like I was in high school. And I literally prayed it like the week when I met him. I was like, I'm not going to go searching for it, whatever. It's your timing. Left it up to him completely, which I had never done before. I'd always like, no, just please bless me. I'm like, no, you know what? It's in your hands. I'm not going to stress about it anymore. So, youth lake trip at my old church. So it's at my old church. He gets invited through David Theologo, which went to my church, but you went to high school with.
Yeah, and he's actually Brad's roommate right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, he invited an exchange student that lived with me, Mo, who was the German exchange student, and Mo then was going to come. I was going to go with another friend that weekend to Myrtle Beach. I'm glad that I didn't go there because he ended up getting robbed at gunpoint.
Oh, no.
Got his wallet stolen and all kinds of stuff. So
Wow.
God had a plan there for sure. So I decided to go, with Mo. We went to White Lake.
White Lake, North Carolina, yeah. Our friends, Mr. and Mrs. Goodson, shout out to you. I'll tag you. It's their lake house that they still go to this day. Haven't been back since then, but I gotta go. Anyways,
Yeah.
So it's funny. So we get there, and just I'm the oldest of the girls there. They're like, "Oh, don't go talk to those guys." I'm like, "Okay, why?" I was like, "They're just weird." I'm like, "Why are they weird?" They're like, "I don't know. They're just talking about video games and yada. I don't even know what you're talking about." But, I mean, these girls are like 12, 13. They didn't care for guys. I'm like, okay, whatever. And they're like, the other one talks funny. I'm like, I listened to Mo. He's German. I was like, oh, he's an exchange. Okay, whatever. But I'm like 18, almost 19 at this time. What? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't think it's weird. So I'm playing and I see him get off the jet ski, and I'm like, I gotta talk to that dude. Because at this time, Neil is well, you wouldn't think, you see his haircut, right? Oh, well, for the listeners, he has, think of a high and tight. A little longer, but high and tight. But he had shaggy surfer boy hair, like a mop on his head. And sorry to be a little vain, but he had a six-pack. And I got to admit, I like the six-pack.
I was ripped at the time.
You were so ripped.
Definitely.
Yeah, lots of muscles.
That was the peak.
Yeah. You now have a loving dad bod.
Yeah.
I've given you some great food and extra cushion.
Yes.
Anyway, and I was like, I gotta talk to that guy. But the more we got talking throughout the weekend, it was like a 4-day weekend, I think, 3 to 4-day weekend. It was just like I just needed to know him. Like I needed to know him. One of the big things was like I wasn't the strongest swimmer, and Neil used to what did he use?
I was a lifeguard.
He was a lifeguard for 2 years.
I swam in the pool growing up, so I was very strong swimmer.
So he could tell I was nervous in like the deeper water. He's like, "It's okay if you start drowning, I'll save you." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." Well, we got talking. My criteria, like he was tall, handsome, Christian. That was a big thing for me.
Yeah.
And the extra is like, God, if you bless me with somebody, can you play the guitar? He plays the guitar. Not often now. Okay, he played the guitar. Yeah, he used to play a lot then. But throughout the weekend, we just kept getting closer and closer. And like we met 3 weeks before he left for Marine Corps boot camp. 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which is generally
That's probably not the best idea. And we went on a date a week later, and so we started dating 2 weeks before he left for boot camp. Like the first 2 weeks, our relationship was kind of on hyperdrive, first kiss, holding hands, going on as many dates as we could. And then it goes for a 3.5 month. We don't see each other. We don't talk to each other. The only communication we have is letters.
Yeah.
That's all we have. So we got good at writing letters. I still have those letters, thank the Lord. I still have those letters. Sending Bible verses. But before you left, like literally right before you left, the most profound thing you said, and probably to this day, no offense, is like, if we can make it through boot camp, we can make it. And here we are. It will be 9 years in end of June.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anything to add?
That's how long we've been married. So we've been together 13.
Yeah.
Oh,
at that
wow.
point.
Yeah.
Wow. 13 years. So you said that during that time you were kind of in a season where you were asking God, to give you a person and stuff like that, or for you to get a boyfriend and stuff like that.
It was very again, hindsight 2020 is like, Lord, please, I just want somebody to love me. I was very self-conscious. I still am, but therapy and the Lord have, helped. But it was like, everybody else has one. Nobody loves me. I'm just this ugly duckling, and, nobody's going to ever love me. And that's what I prayed to God for. I'd be like, please, right now. Oh, what about him? What about this person? What about, and just not asking the right questions, but it was not the right timing. I was not. Like, that prayer had to have, Lord, I give it to you, had to happen when it did for his timing completely.
Yeah. So, sorry.
I was going to say, I pretty much had given similar.
Yeah.
I pretty much had given up trying to date any girls at the time right before I was about to go to boot camp. So it was kind of like this similar where, like, I had been going after somebody. It did not work at all. And then I meet her, but right before that, I was like, all right, I give up.
Yeah. So it was kind of one of those things where y'all were both kind of, so you were with the mindset of you wanted to meet somebody, and you were kind of checked out at that point. Wow. Okay. So look at God, like that.
Oh yeah, no. There's we look at these as like, if we didn't have this person, if we didn't have this time and this time, if we didn't ask and give it up to God and be like, whatever, none of it would have happened. And it was like, we all definitely say it was God intended. Like, it was all His work.
Yeah,
all His work.
Yeah,
His timing,
everything, everything.
Yeah, and something about Indian Trail too, because that's where we live. That's like my hometown since birth. Especially back, before in like the 2000s, like there was really not really much to do, not really too many people. It's definitely grown a lot more.
Yeah.
But it's still, pretty small. And I kind of like it that way. There's not too much going on. But at the same time, it is small to the point where you could...
Small dating pool.
yeah. And even just meeting people in Charlotte, you could see somebody and never see them again.
Yeah.
In Indian Trail, it feels like I see the same people, very often. Some people have a certain day they go to Walmart for grocery shopping. So yeah, it's definitely a small town. So I can definitely see how it's difficult, even in like the dating area, because that's something that I've been working on too. But it's just so small, and like please do, please do.
That'll work it out. When
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was about to say. I'm like, we'll pray for you. Not sure we have anything to do with that at all. But.
Yeah. So Neil, kind of. What you said a little bit earlier, kind of like you were just checked out. You were like, cool with whatever. I guess when you saw Amber, the way you were describing it, it kind of makes me imagine, like with the 6-pack and the ripped and everything. It kind of makes me imagine like it was one of those movie scenes where Neil comes out of when Neil comes out of the water.
On a jet ski, no less.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so when I replay it in my mind, it's literally slower than it actually was. Yes, we'll go with Baywatch.
Yeah, I guess I was coming in riding in on a jet ski on a noble steed.
Yes, it definitely sounds like a movie scene. But knowing that, or from the time y'all met to the time where it was that 3-week period before you were about to go into the military, how far, like how long was that period?
Like I said, so it was when we met. I was leaving.
We had graduated.
We had just graduated high school.
6 days before.
Yeah,
6 days before.
Maybe.
And
then I was leaving. I was leaving
right
July 12th is when I left.
So it
was like literally June 27th is our official, like when we started dating. So I think a week before that we met.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks before that we graduated high school.
Yeah.
Like June 12th. So all this happened in a month span.
Wow.
Yeah. And and in that, right after we got back, I was going hiking on the Appalachian Trail.
Oh, yeah.
So like immediately whenever we got back, I think I left like a couple days later. I went out hiking on the Appalachian Trail, I was going to do a week out there, but I hiked like 3 days and I was like, I got to get back. So I kind of dipped out.
Well, his mom was like, I've never seen him so like squirrely. Like, if you ask his mom, was like, I don't know why he was like, usually he's like all focused on hiking, but this is different. And it's because he was going on a first date with me. Yeah. And she's like, I had no clue whatsoever. He's like, no, I have to get home. And she's like, okay, bye. See you later. That was funny.
Yeah. So I didn't do the second half. I kind of got to my stopping point, and then I just dipped out and went back and went on a first date quickly. Yeah.
So knowing that you were kind of in that headspace where you were just not really focused on dating, and then also having the knowledge that you were going to be leaving for a little bit afterwards, what was that period and what was kind of going through your mind that made you want to leave that hiking trip and go on that first date with Amber?
Yes,
because it's
I
like
want to know too.
Because it's like that. Your mind was completely on one side, but then you choose to do something that's completely opposite to kind of the situation that you were in. So I guess my question, like, what made you want to do that?
I mean, she was different than like the other girls in high school. Like, I didn't have much dating success.
I.e. 100 pounds lighter. No, I'm joking.
But she was just different than the other girls I had gone at. Like, so
Christian.
Yeah. I mean, but not that the other ones weren't, but it just, she was just different. And I don't know, it was just something about her. Like, I was just kind of willing to change how things went. Yeah. I mean, it was.
It's not like your heart was closed. It was just like, meh.
Yeah.
You were like, whatever happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wasn't really looking. I wasn't. But whenever she came along, I wasn't going to like turn her down for that. You know?
Yeah, and
absolutely not. That would have been very bad decision. So I'm glad I didn't do that.
And the reason I'm asking that is because I'm kind of in that same boat right now, to where I'm just so focused on, you know, just growing this platform, getting more wisdom in the faith and everything, and just kind of focusing on work and everything. So I was just curious because I haven't really met somebody that makes me want to stop everything. Yeah. Not necessarily stop everything, but just kind of, if
you're not ready to live your life with them. Like,
yeah.
And that's a big thing is like, I mean, we weren't ready. We were, 19, but
you were about to turn 19.
I was about to turn 19 and you were going to turn 19 like 6 months later. Yeah. Is like right off the bat, like we talked, but even before we went on our first date, it's like, hey, like, I'm not the type of person, I just don't want to go on a date to go date. It's like this first date is to know about each other, but we need to talk out, like, how is our life going to be? Like, I have an extreme interest in you.
Mm-hmm.
I have extreme interest in you. But this isn't my life plan. Like, not exactly life plan, but, like, this is what I hope to accomplish in life. I want kids. Do you want kids? Yeah, okay. This could work. It's like I'm going to college. You're going to the military. How do you foresee that happening? I'm like, I want to be able to have that. I want to be able to do these things. It's like, yes, it's all Lord willing, what he decides to bless us with. But it's like, what are your ideas and thoughts on these things? Like, we established that long before, like, we went on that first date. Like, that first week of when we met versus when we went on our first date, I'm like, 10-hour conversation. Like, I remember one day we had a 10-hour conversation just established, like, just talking about these things.
Just sitting there in the lake, trying not to get sunburnt.
Yeah, I know.
I got sunburnt so bad the first day we were there.
I have a 4th of July picture that really shows it to me. But it's like living our lives together. I was like, for me, I think you could agree with this, but you can disagree. It's like, it wasn't worth my time if you don't think this is going to be forever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't date to date. I didn't date to date. I date for my life.
Yeah.
And that's, you're not looking, I say this, like, you're not looking for a girl, you're looking for a woman of God. Mm-hmm. And I was looking for a man of God, for sure. Not a boy of God. I know that's, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that aligned with my beliefs and values and where I wanted to go in life and how we could live life together.
Yeah.
So, some things that doesn't work out, but it worked out with us.
Yeah, it definitely did.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. Like, I was very much so on the same page, and that's why it worked out. At least I told myself I was on the same page. I definitely was. But like going in the military, if I hadn't met her, who knows what would have happened, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I tell him all the time, if I'd gone to college, Lord knows I would not have saved the good Christian girl. I mean, college, I went to UNCC too, but you know how liberal it is. Very, and I had multiple professors that go, if you believe in God, blah, 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 and I'm just like, how does a weak Christian person survive this?
Yeah.
They don't. But advice for you, like, woman of God, of God. When you're looking for that, like, it's hard to find. Like, I know, especially, like, I cannot imagine dating in this time and age. Like, not at all.
It is hard.
I'm like, we talked about it. We're like, I'm so grateful. So grateful to have found you when we did. So that's one thing I pray for. All my single ladies and guys out there, is like, you guys have it so much harder. And it's like, yes, you have this like overflow of dating ability to, like, oh, there's an app for this, there's an app for that, but to sieve through all that to find like the diamond in the rough, it's gonna take a bit.
Yeah. And I did an episode a few weeks ago with one of my friends. It was called Unplugged. And it's just because he got off of social media. He got off of like the only thing he's on was on Twitter, but that was mainly just because for sports updates and stuff like that. But, you know, we were talking about kind of how nowadays a lot of people around, you know, younger adults, they're, you know, on their phones all the time, social media, even, you know, dating apps and stuff like that. And sometimes I wish I was born in like the 1980s, 90s to where social media isn't as big. So it would give more of an incentive to actually meet people and go up and talk to them instead of kind of relying on your phone. Because for me, I'm a terrible like texter. I'm a terrible just communicator through like anything that's not verbal. And so it's hard to get a gauge of my personality through like a phone.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's like what you were saying. It's definitely a lot more difficult now. And then even if you kind of reach the point where you know, find a connection and stuff, and then you meet up in person, and then, you know, it's nothing like how they were portrayed to be online.
How they portray themselves online.
Yeah. And so it's definitely a lot more difficult, but yeah, y'all just pray for me.
Yes.
I'll figure it out.
Or God will figure it out for you.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And so, kind of going to what I kind of wanted to talk about, when I first came up with the idea of starting this podcast, I wanted to do a series in February to have 4 couples come on for the 4 weeks, and it was going to be like a kind of like a love language series. That didn't really work out. But
it happened.
I wanted to bring you on during that time because I was going to kind of just, each episode was going to be like a love language theme type episode. So like I said,
we know our love languages.
Yeah. And so for at least, I may be wrong, but from me seeing y'all two, it seems like it's acts of service.
So
it is
be
for
wrong.
me.
yes,
For her, it's words of affirmation.
which
Okay.
I love you.
No,
you know you suck
struggle.
at.
I'm terrible at it.
This is
We
what
work-
we
we
work
work
at.
on it.
We work
We work on
it.
it.
You've gotten better.
Yeah.
I get one compliment a week. It's better than it used to be. It used to be like once a month or like, how do I look? Now I get, I like that when you wear that shirt. Oh, thank you. And then it goes another week. He's working on it. He's
I'm
gotten a lot
terrible
better.
about it.
But no, his is acts of service. So like if I like one of his chores is doing the dishes. So I'll be like, hey, you do this, like finish up on he loves playing chess, so he's finish your chess game. I'll go do the dishes, and then I've taken vacuuming. We need vacuum very much anymore, but vacuuming off his chore list and be like, hey, I'll go feed the chickens for you.
Yeah.
Just little things like that, and that's how I show
Mowed
him.
the yards.
I love mowing the yard. I know that's weird, but it's like I love my kids, but it's an hour away or 2, depending on how slow I go.
Yeah.
Just like I'm being productive. Yeah, I love being productive too, and I can be away from my children. Know they're being watched by their daddy, and I just pray. Well, I know that's weird, but that's my time to pray. Time to mow the lawn, just be in nature, and yeah. Anyways, that's his. You're getting. I don't like gifts or anything like that. I like to give. Well, you know,
Yeah.
I like to give more, and I do like that's how I show my love is gifts and acts of service. But how I receive love is words of affirmation. I say I don't want to be vain, and I don't. This is not me saying, "Hey, you need to tell me I'm doing good." No, it's not that. It's husband and wife type words of affirmation. Like,
Yeah.
if you come like from other people, I don't know how it is with other people. This is interesting. Question coming. It's like if people come alongside me with my service, I'm like, I love when people do that. I'm like, oh, let me come help you. Awesome, thank you. I'm glad I not instigated. What's the word I'm looking? Inspired. Thank you. This is why we're married. Inspired you too.
Sentences.
Yeah. Sandwiches. Anyways.
Yeah, and so so that's a lot to unpack. So let's dive through it. So start off, the reason I said I felt like it was acts of service is because I kind of touched on it at the beginning when I was introing. You know, y'all are always willing to serve no matter who it is. You know, even this, like y'all see this beautiful room. Me and Neil were talking about it before. Like, this is Neil. Like Neil put this together, you know? And so just that, and then Amber with you, and, you know, we've gone and, you know, done a tour of like Foster Village. Hopefully I have somebody from Foster Village come on soon. I think that'll be pretty cool.
I'll send emails.
Okay, yeah, that'll be awesome. I think that'll be.
I've had
really
a lot
good
on my
one.
plate getting stuff organized, but I'll send emails. I promise.
Yeah, but yeah, with that, you know, we have this grandmother that we give gifts to as well and stuff like that.
Kinship,
and
friendship. Yep.
Kinship, friendship. Yeah, that's right. And so y'all both are have like a mindset of service. Y'all are willing to serve others, even if there's not necessarily going to be. Y'all don't do it for acknowledgement. Y'all just do it just because that's who y'all are. And so that's why I said that. But now that you were saying that Amber's is words of affirmation and yours is acts of service, let's dive into that. So is that something that y'all discussed beforehand, or is that something that y'all learned through experience? Y'all learned?
Yes.
We learned
Okay.
it.
Okay.
So I can
Still
start.
learning it.
You're still learning it. So I definitely talk more than he does. I'm sorry. It's the way
It's
it
just
is.
the nature of how
Yeah.
it is.
So when we lived in Florida right after we got married for 3.5 years. We went to Grace Community Church, which I think it's just called Grace Church now, down in Sarasota, Florida. Shout out, I'll tag you. Again, I know how the social media works. Got to tag everybody and his brother. But hey, we served there. Again, Neil was in the
Tech booth.
thank you. And he's been tech, like, because we've served in church, like, our entire lives, basically.
Pretty much what I've done. I've done sound and slides since I was like 13.
I've done children's
Okay.
ministry since I was 12. So,
Okay.
yeah. And then praise and worship with your mom at, what was it, CFC?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I used to play guitar there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we've been in service, just different aspects of it. But
Yeah.
I think both of us, where we learned to serve was at Grace, and where we've asked to be more service was here at East. I'm like, I remember, at least for me, I don't know if you concur, it's like I asked God, I'm like, Lord, like, you've given me these abilities. I want to be of use to you. I want to use them for your glory.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've asked this, like, we've been very blessed. Like, God has definitely blessed us. I'm not trying to brag at all. Like, this is not, but God has blessed us in our lives. We have not had to experience famine, loss of income, loss of nothing like that.
Yeah.
And I don't serve the Lord. At least I pray I don't serve the Lord because I don't want to lose it. But at the same time, it's like, God, let me use these things. Let me use what you bless us with to bless others. Because I am so beyond grateful for the life I have lived, the life I am living, the life my kids are living, the life I'm living with my husband. Like, and I don't know, do you have anything to add to that specific part to it?
On that, I mean, God's just always been faithful with
Yes.
that, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
like whenever, just kind of like in the next chapter of our lives, it like almost always seems to time with when I got like a promotion at work or something. It was like right before we moved to Florida. I remember a little worried about like how we were gonna like buy a house and stuff, and then I get a promotion and get like a pretty big raise like a month before we leave, and then whenever we move back, same thing, same thing here. Yeah, I mean, it's just always been really faithful on that side of things, and like the timing's just been like perfect, right?
Yeah.
And we know, we both acknowledge it's not us. It is completely God of where the blessings come from. But so moved back to Florida, and with East is like, I love East, but it's an old church. And it's an old church. It has needed help.
Yeah.
And again, God has blessed Neil with talents, blessed with me talents, and I again asked God, I'm like, where do you need me? And he called us here, because when in that time, I even said, I was like, I am not going to your old church. No, I'm not going to your parents' old church. No. I'm like,
we definitely had that conversation.
We definitely had like, it's like, I'd been here once or twice, and it's like, it was just not driving with me. I don't know why, but it just wasn't before we had moved to Florida. And don't know what happened. But we went to a couple churches, and they just didn't. They're like, maybe we could serve here. But it's like, but they don't really need us. Like, we weren't feeling called there. And Brad's like, hey, why don't you just come see East? And I'm like, we'll go. He was preaching every now and again back then.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, we'll come see you. And then he's like, just, we'll go to lunch. And we started doing that. And God was like, you need to be here. You need to be here. And it was just like, okay, God, fine. And we're here. And then I was like, oh, we need children. Okay, I didn't have a kid at the time where I was pregnant with Eli. I think, yeah, right about that time. And I was like, okay. And just I could see the potential and growth. And Pastor Brian, what he's saying, community and be out there and serving. And I was like, this is what I wanted to hear. And I was hearing it here at East.
That was pretty much what we did when we were back at Grace. So, like, the church that we were at with Grace had, like, some of the most unbelievable growth I've ever seen.
Exponential growth.
Yeah, so when we started going there, not to change, but kind of tie it back in.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
When we started going to that church, we went there for 3 years. They were at about 250 people, right? By the time we left, they were 1,500, 2,000 sometimes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no, like, and the only reason that it wasn't, we couldn't get more people in the door was basically we were running 4 services a weekend. Like, everybody who was volunteering was just like, working ourselves to death, just about
like
trying.
We were
to keep,
at church.
Like whenever I ran sound, I'd run
days.
it, 3 times on Sunday morning and once, maybe even twice on Saturdays.
And
right?
practice.
Wow.
And practice.
And then
it was just.
And like we were literally church something like.
It was crazy. It was crazy. And the reason that they were able to do that was they were out in the community, like
completely,
crazy. Yeah, completely out in the community. We were doing, the town there did like what's called a First Friday event where they would have a couple bands come out and play and they'd just have like food trucks and all that.
And Grace would do.
What Grace would do is they would come out and bring like bouncy houses, like the big slides, the rides, all the different rides, climbing walls, like basically give a place where all the kids can go and hang out while the parents are there as well. So like just make it a big family experience. And because of that exposure, it brought like hundreds, if probably thousands of people. I mean, they're still doing it now.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
And they got 2 campuses.
Yeah, they have 2 campuses now. And even more so, what it allowed them to do was because they had such a good relationship with the town, because really it was the church made that event, right? That event would not have been as good without the church being there.
Yeah.
And because they were able to do that, for Christmas, they were able to work it out with the town where they just closed Main Street, just like they would for First Friday, and have a big Christmas Eve or Christmas
church-oriented.
They did a Christmas Adam, actually. Adam becomes before Eve. So they usually did it December 23rd. Have a big Christmas service, and like they'd have like 3,000-4,000, and probably 5,000 people by the time it was done.
And for a church to be able to not take over, but get provided to take over a main street for a town, that's big.
It is,
That is big.
So to tie that back in with these, like whenever we were trying to get out in the community and trying to do things like we work with Neighborhood Hope and stuff like that, it's. What I saw at that church, like the formula that they did that worked, like it was amazing. We were seeing some of the same formula here.
Then COVID happened.
Yeah, then COVID happened and it's gotten in our way. But other than that,
let's move past that.
Yeah.
And now we're getting back into the swing of things.
Yeah.
Going to Foster Village was a big thing. Going to that meeting, like, okay, how can we help with this community? And then trying to get East to be seen more in the community, get that stuff set up. Like all this was happening right before COVID hit, and then it hit, and now we're just like, oh, let's grab those bags again, keep running. Yeah. And that's what it has been a big struggle, but at the same time, I see people are like, this is what we're gonna do. This is what we're pushing for. Let's be out in the community. Let's foster community. And it's happening. Like I know some people may not see it, but it is happening. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's important too, just kind of not just to get our name out there, but just to show that, we care about you. Yes, we're here in the same and we're here in the same neighborhood as you. We care to build a relationship with you and to support in any way that we can.
Oh yeah, this is one of the most diverse churches I have ever seen. And with just the ratios to everybody, not just predominantly white, predominantly black, predominantly Asian, Hispanic, whatever. No, so diverse. And like, I am loving it. I love it. I absolutely love it.
That's what God's kingdom is going to be
exactly.
Like, right?
Like
you know,
we are a great display of God's kingdom.
Yeah.
Like, not just what we believe, but like the beautiful skin colors we have in our it's like we are a skin tone rainbow. I don't know how to say that. But yeah.
Yeah. And
community.
Yeah. And you know, East definitely we're definitely, I believe, on the right track. And I think we're at the end of the day, you know, we're doing the most important thing, which is serving the Lord. And then just being the body. You know, somebody is the hand, somebody may be the foot, somebody may even be the toenail. You know?
Yeah.
But
Well,
it all functions, you know?
Like, I would never want to do what you do with preaching and podcasts and like that. You go be the face. You have a beautiful face, Dave. I was like, I'll be the hands and arms in the service, and Neil can be in the background, the little back of the head,
back in the hole.
Yeah,
back in the sound booth,
in the
where
sound
nobody
booth.
can see me.
Yeah, exactly. This is actually very big of Neil because he does not like to be out there. This is out of his box. He's getting better. Again, he's getting better. You're growth.
Getting better. But.
Yeah. So it's like you said, completely like the body of Christ. There's all parts of the body, and they do all different things. It's like whether it be out there in the community. Like I like enjoy going out in the community, and I can't wait to do more of those service opportunities and those outreach opportunities, community opportunities. There, I was trying to find the word. Community opportunities and being not me being seen, but the glory of God being seen, and being like, hey, we have a place for you here. Like, if you need to be fed with the Holy Spirit, right here.
Yeah.
So we're in prime real estate for that to happen. Like, oh my gosh, I am grateful that we have a building. I'm grateful that we have people in this building. I'm so grateful where we are and how God's going to use us.
Yeah. And if anybody is out here in the community in the Charlotte area and you're listening to this and you want to be on, just reach out. The Instagram link is in the bio.
Yes.
Just send a DM. Love to have you on here. Anybody is welcome. Doesn't matter what age you are, where you're from, anything. Anybody is welcome. Even if you're out of state and you're listening, reach out. We can do Zoom. We have this technology now. So yeah, but if anybody's in the community and you have anything going on, and you know, I'd love to have you on here. It'll be a great blessing. And I think it'll help not only build this up, but to help build, you know, whatever you have going on up as well. And just to kind of see where God leads it and everything. But yeah, like you were saying, I'm definitely excited to see how we can get more involved in the community and how we can just be a place that is willing to serve and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. But pulling back a little bit now, back to y'all two, right? You said that y'all have been married for 9 years now, been together for 13.
Yeah, it'll be 9 years in June.
9 years in June, and together for about 13.
Yeah.
And through that process, y'all now have two sons, Eli and Isaac. So if for y'all that know the Bible, y'all know that those are biblical biblical names. So was that intentional to have those biblical names, or was that just kind of like a, you know, because I know some people they just let their like parents choose the name, and their parents come up with like a list and they choose from that list, or it's like biblical. Was it how did that process go?
Completely biblical. Like I think we both, I guess initially with Eli.
Strictly biblical.
Yeah.
Like we weren't looking at like strictly biblical names, but it was certainly generally those were at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I would agree with Eli. When we chose this name, was like, okay, well, I kind of want Isaac to have a Bible name too. So that was like second kid. Sorry, Isaac. But yeah, no, we definitely. It was on our list, but it was one of those things like it's the top of our list.
Yeah,
it's like we'll see when he is born if Eli fits Eli, and it's like he's born. You're definitely Elijah. you're Elijah. And then with Isaac's name, it's like, again, we wanted a Bible name because Eli had a Bible name. So again, sorry, second kid, you're gonna get stuck with some of the things. That's how and it just happened to be that one of Neil's family member, ancestor. I don't know, not too far. Grandparents, great grandparents. I don't know.
It would have been my great grandparent. Yeah,
I had a name. The name was Isaac. So, Eli, his middle name is Neil, so that ties into the family. So we wanted something else that Isaac tied into the family. So I was like, good, because like my middle name, my second middle name is Corinthia. So I kind of like from Corinthians.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I was like, I kind of want to tie that into. So like a lot of little things. But
my middle name's a Bible name too.
Yeah.
Yeah, my middle name's Daniel. So that's another.
Oh, okay.
We've been very, as you can see, sprinkled with God from our entirety.
And it's funny, if we had a girl, the name
Evangeline.
You're going to go with Evangeline, which is not really a Bible name, but it's still
like angel,
like evangelize, right? It's still,
yeah.
So what we
Yeah.
we're gonna adopt 2 girls. That's our goal, is to adopt 2 girls.
Oh, okay.
And we usually meet our goals. I mean, again, not in our timing, on God's timing.
Don't know when that's.
Don't know what's gonna happen. We're hoping 2025, but again, God's timing, how He wants to bless us when He wants to bless us.
Yeah. So that actually brings up 2 questions. Before I get to those, a funny thing about how you were saying like the second Isaac kind of got stuck with the biblical name. It's funny because it's kind of the opposite with my family. My sister, her name, obviously, y'all know her name is Gabrielle.
Yeah.
And my name is Gabriel, but in reality, she's kind of the one that got stuck because my dad's name is Gabriel. So I was always going to be Gabriel. She got stuck with Gabrielle. So it's kind of funny how that works. How it's kind of reversed. But yeah, so 2 questions for y'all. First one, now that Eli is getting a little older and Isaac is growing as well, how has that whole process been of parenthood, and how have y'all seen yourselves grow individually and as a couple while they've grown? And then with the adoption thing as well, where did that kind of come about? What put it on your hearts to, have that in mind to do?
So which one do you want to answer first?
I think you've always wanted to adopt.
Okay, so we'll answer that one first. Again, this goes into that conversation of like what we had before we even went on a first date. I told him, I was like, I want to adopt. I don't know why. God has always placed it on my heart. When I heard of what adoption was, like even before I would ever start dating, like, oh, that'd be cool to adopt, a kid when I'm older.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just always had that mindset. I don't know. I want to help a child. I want to help, hopefully 2 children into my life that like don't know what their life has been, but I want to show them God through our love as a family, and be able to provide them a healthy relationship, not with the mom and dad and siblings, but with the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Everything for the Lord. So I don't know. God has placed on my heart long time ago, and I asked, was like, is that something you'd be interested in? He's like, yeah, we could do that. So I don't know. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I wasn't exactly like, I don't feel like I was called to do that. I feel like hers, but I was not like opposed to it in any way.
Yeah.
And then like, especially like biologically, we're probably limited to 2 kids. Her health probably I don't think, she ended up with, pre-diabetic for both of them. The second time was a lot worse.
Mm-hmm.
I had Isaac 6 weeks early.
And then with Isaac, it was preeclampsia, just really kicked in real quick, and then we had to induce early. I think it would be, I don't know, medically, maybe not. Chances are, though, from how it escalated from the first one to the second one, I think it would only be worse, right? And I think we'd be really struggling just to get to like a viability point.
It's just not safe for me.
I don't think it's really safe.
And it's not fair to both you and the kids, because with pregnancy with Isaac, I was like, it was bad. It was like I was sleeping constantly, like 4 hours during the day, and where he'd have to be mom, dad, and take care of Eli, and
work at the same time.
Cookie. I had no energy.
Yeah.
So to be able to do that against him, I don't want to
with
do that.
2 kids?
With 2 kids, I can't do that to
so
Neil,
hard.
and I can't do that to Isaac or Eli, and so I was like, out of my body, it's not going to happen again.
Yeah.
The first question was adoption question. What was the other one?
How have we grown?
Oh, how have we grown? Okay.
Yeah.
So we've always been pretty good at communication.
Yeah.
Like, throughout the, like, as you can say, we had the 10-hour conversation before. We've been pretty good. And not that we don't struggle. We every couple struggles, believe me, but
Yeah.
communication has been one of those that we've never struggled with. How we've grown is, like, together is, like, how we parent, just, like, disciplinary. Not that we've had to do much because we have a 3-year-old and a 10-month-old, but
With the 3-year-old, definitely.
oh, yeah.
That's a constant struggle.
Yeah.
You know,
It's like just communicating on those specific things, like the day to day. Like, we trust each other to get things done. I mean, like,
Yeah.
He has his chores, I have my chores. He has work, I have the stuff I have to do around the house. Just trusting that the house we have our duties. We'll take care of them. So trusting that those things will get done. What's the other thing?
Yeah, like, I mean, in some ways, like, there's been things that, like with Eli, like, we've had to have him in speech therapy because he wasn't really talking much. And that's, like, one thing that's, like, you know, I was kind of apprehensive about it at first, just because it's kind of like, you know, I don't want to have to, like, I don't feel like my kid needs some of this stuff, you know, or I was like, I didn't want to, but it was ultimately completely the right decision.
I was definitely the one, I'm like, it's not going to hurt him.
No. I mean, there's part of it where you're just like, you know,
you don't want your
my
kid to
doesn't need that.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't need the, no, but it's wrong mentality to have about that, I think, more often than not. That was one thing for me. Like, I had to get past that, you know, and
we depend on each other. Like, my health hasn't been the best. This whole beginning of the year, I've had been under anesthesia 3 times, 2 surgeries. I'm okay, by the way. But depending on each other, like, that's been a big thing of what we had to learn is, like, when I don't think he, you know, can be any better than he is, he does, and then me stepping up to go do a few things that I would not normally do.
Sick as all get out while we're on vacation.
Yeah, and he's like, you have to go do this. I'm like, I've never done this before. Okay.
Running a fever for a week at my parents' house in Tennessee, and she had to just take the kids and keep, you know, doing stuff. I felt terrible. But
I don't know how else have we gone. Just, like, again, we've been great at communication, to trust. That we've definitely trusted each other to get things done and depended on each other. I'm not sure.
I think we've had to learn, like, to
patience.
Yeah.
Both of us have learned patience, not just with our kids, but with each other. Of, like, because not everything's going to get done. Not everything's going to get done in a timely manner. We aren't going to have time for each other, and having that patience of, like, because to get more in detail, you need to have intimacy with your partner, and it's a struggle when you only have this many hours. And I don't mean intimacy just you know.
Yeah.
But, like, the conversations, how's your day going? Oh, we stressed about this. That sort of intimacy too. Yeah. Like, the thing we really struggle with right now is dates. Like, we need to get better at that. But,
we
like,
got one yesterday.
Yeah, after 3 weeks. 3 weeks.
Yeah, no, it's.
But having that grace with each other of, like, I still love you. We haven't been able to talk, but that's a big thing. We've learned grace with each other. Like, we might have thinner
fuses
sort of fuses, but right after I'm like, I did not need to say that to him. I did not need to be short with her. It's what we've learned is grace with each other, for sure. That's a big thing.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, another thing we've had to do is, like, we've had to, you know, it's like when parenting, you figure it out as you go.
Oh yeah,
you know,
for
sure. You figure it out as you go. So I was like, one thing that we're kind of struggling with how to handle it right now is, like, Eli does not like to eat very, like, protein at all, and it drives us nuts.
Yes, up the wall.
And he'll just sit there and, like, he just, like, will not swallow, like, just like a piece of chicken or something like that. Wow. We're just like, all right, what do we do here? You know, he's eating like 2 little bites of chicken. That's, like, all he's had, like, all day. And you're like, we're sitting there for 10 minutes while he's just sitting there with it in his mouth. And it's like, how do you deal with that? You know what I mean? It's like, how do you deal with that? And
I'm over here, let me do some research. And
no,
I was like, you gotta pound the dishes. I'm like, I'm working on it.
It's one of those things. It's like, I don't have a problem with spanking or like my children. I don't have a problem with it, but like she's brought up, like it's tough because we have to figure out what's the line here, because if we don't want him to be, we don't want
relationship with
have
food.
unhealthy relationship with food. So I don't want him to have that relationship with it, but at the same time, like he needs to not be disobedient with this too. You know what I mean? So it's that's something we're struggling with trying to figure out. I don't have the answer. If I did, it'd be great, but I don't.
We wouldn't have this problem right now.
Yeah. I guess that's part of the beautiful thing about it is like you're always evolving.
Well, especially with like going from 1 kid to 2. We've never had a 3-year-old going to 4-year-old. We never had a 10-month. Well, we had to have a 10-month. Anyways,
but they're nothing alike.
They're
nothing alike. You know,
nothing alike. They both love each other. That's the good thing.
They get along great. You know,
they love each other immensely, and we love them. But it's always there's growth happening constantly. There's new things being learned constantly. Just from each other, like, you know, I didn't think to do that. I was here, Neil. What I've seen work is like while you're changing his diaper, give Isaac the butt paste tube first so he can have something to do with it instead of trying to pull his diaper off himself.
Hacks,
Just communicating that sort of things and helping each other out with the day to day of raising 2 kids.
Yeah, and I tell my parents all the time too. Obviously not out of experience because I'm not a father, but I tell them, what do I tell them? It completely slipped my mind just now. I tell them that a lot of times you can learn like so much from your children, and a lot of times they, in different scenarios, they teach you more than you teach them. And the reason I say that is because even though I obviously don't have experience because I'm not a father, the age gap between me and my brothers is significant enough to where I can kind of act as like a father figure to them in a way. And so a lot of times they've helped me learn about myself because like what you were saying, with not having the answer with, with Eli not really wanting to eat protein sometimes and stuff like that, it kind of gives you an opportunity to figure out, okay, how am I going to navigate this? And then that can help, even when he gets older, because when he gets older, it's going to change you. He'll probably, won't be able to not stop eating protein when he gets older.
That's Isaac right now.
Isaac.
He's a garbage disposal.
Yes, 2 teeth, 2 little teethies, and he uses them. He's like,
it's like they could not be any more different. In this case, it's great. It's at least it's not stressful feeding him.
Yeah.
You're definitely like a responsible. You have a responsibility role in that. Not exactly you have the responsibility, but you're like to be able to teach your younger brothers. Like I've been in this life longer than you. I've known a few things. You can communicate with me a few things. You have that communication.
Sure, you babysat at times and all.
Yeah.
Whereas like
I changed
didn't
your
have,
butt. Okay, you gotta listen to
I
me.
didn't have much experience with that like at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Only
like I'd hold
right
a baby
here.
like twice. Like by the time I had held
Well, the other thing,
Eli, and I was like, Sue was like, like how am I gonna?
And it's cool too because once you have multiple kids, or in my case, multiple brothers, you kind of get to figure out how to deal with them. Because Michael doesn't really talk, and Michael's like very intelligent.
I see
like,
that.
So in situations, Michael, I don't mean to put him on the spot, but it's funny, so I'm gonna say it anyway. Michael, sometimes he thinks of things too intelligently to where he thinks more than he does. So, for example, let's say there's my mom made a bowl of rice or something like that, and there's not too much of it left. He'll try to like dissect how much he can take that'll leave enough for other people to eat. Like he just thinks like that. And so when we talk to him, we kind of have to, we can't just say something. We can't just tell Michael do this and then that's it. We have to give him a reason.
So you have no idea how like he is like that.
I was about to say that sounds just like me.
He is very much like, not that I'm illogical.
Yeah,
I don't think I'm illogical, but he is logic oriented, whereas I'm more I mean, I think, but emotionally oriented, like,
Yeah.
you gotta think of these things logically, Neil, for like, or Amber, that's what he tells me. It's like, I understand that, but there's an emotional aspect to this that you also need to think of, not just that this is strictly logic, you know?
Yeah, no, usually the emotional side.
Yeah, it's like, and I have to remind him, like,
strictly-
yeah, you have to think that there's an emotional side to this, but he, or some other side to it, but he's strictly, I'm like, no. That's you can't just do that. Things, yes, they will get done, but you're gonna step on some toes. Like if you just think logically, it's needed. Like there are times that I have anxiety, and they're like I need that logic thought from him. Like you know, how do I get this done? I need you. That's why God paired us together. We need your logic mind. I need you to tell me how this is going to go or how to do this because I need it done like this. And I don't think like that. I don't, if I would, here's the thing, I probably could get to that mindset, but it would be long down the road. Whereas Neil's like, okay, this is how you need to get it done. Or however, like you said, how your brother is like very logical.
Yeah. And I think that's healthy when you're with somebody that's not the same exact person as you. Because me and my sister talk about it all the time. We say like I couldn't, or at least her. She's like I couldn't imagine being with somebody who's just like me. Because she
calling out all your siblings right now.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Gab. So on Sundays, y'all see she's on the stage. She's singing. She's calm. She's cool. She's collected. At home, she's a different person. She's a completely different person. We have like, it's weird. It's funny because me and her have like this random language that we speak to each other that only we can understand. And it's just like this craziness that if we did it in public, people would just think we're insane. But yeah, she's a completely different I mean, she's obviously the same at heart, but she's a lot more, what's the word? I guess comfortable at home. Because obviously in church, you don't want to like act crazy and stuff like that. But this
is not a Pentecostal church. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, she's a completely different. She's a completely different person at home. And so, me and her talk all the time. We couldn't imagine being with someone that's exactly like us. Because if you have her and her craziness with somebody else and their craziness, who knows what'll happen? Indian Tro would cease to exist.
You need that balance for sure. And like I don't really believe that you need the bad good, but you need balance. Like you definitely need, because another example of how we balance each other is like I have not a bad spending habit, but I am known to spend the money. And Neil's like, you gotta rein it in, not that you've always been like this, but he's a good like, okay, think of this like financial, like if you spend all this money on this, you're not gonna have this. And like, I list make. I love to list make. I know that's a weird, like to be very creative and like very organized, but I'm that way. It works in my body, but sometimes the more creative takes over. But with budgeting, he's like, okay, he's definitely taught me how to budget, and I enjoy budgeting. Like I love budgeting now. But he's like, okay, if for OCC, Operation Christmas Child, I like run that show here.
Yeah.
Basically, I may hate to say it, but I don't hate to say it. I love to say it. I run that show here. He's like, okay, this is how much you have. It's like, I love to find savings, so I do that, but portion it out. If you want to be able to spend this amount of money, you can only spend this amount of money for this, on this month. I'm like, I only have so many paychecks. I only get so much of it on that paycheck. So I was like, I am allowing you to do this.
Yeah.
In the nice way, allowing, like I'm providing this so you can bless others. But if you want to be able to bless other ministries too, like Tithe to the Grace, Operation Christmas Child, Foster Village, is like, we can't, you have to be able to think logically about it and budget it. I'm like, oh, you're right. It's like, I can't just spend all this money. Well, we don't have it. It's like, we won't have a house if you spend all this money. We need to have money for the house payment. I'm like, oh yeah. But things like that. And he helps me think of like, yes, I want to give and give and give. And I would give the clothes off my back if somebody needed them. But he's like, well, you need to be clothed. You don't want to go to jail, like stuff like that. But he helps me like rein it in a little bit so I can be able to. Able to bless others with that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I got distracted, but that was a balance thing. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Tangent again.
Yeah, and I'm kind of the same way. I don't really like spending money. So I would go a day, like I usually bring my lunch to work. And
Very smart.
Sometimes I forget to bring the lunch, and so I'm like starving. I'm like, do I really want to spend that money and go to get some quick food and that? So sometimes I just like starve and then go home.
That'll be the day you meet your future wife. Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm kind of the same way. But yeah, that is true. Like I think it's good to have a good balance, because it can help you grow as a person as well.
Oh yeah.
You know, like you were saying, you know, with the emotional side, Neil kind of introduced kind of the logical side. And, you know, now you have that balance. And then you, on the other hand, you were probably like the logical. And now,
Yeah.
but
he wouldn't, with affection, like he would not give me affection. Like he would not hold my hand. He would not kiss me in front of anybody. And I was just like, I love you. However,
Like, hello.
yeah, I was like, no. Like, I don't want to be, all over each other, But I was like, no, I want to know that you are mine. You are going to hold my hand. So there's been growth in that, like from each other, of like with that, and how he interacts with his son, because he didn't really he wasn't able to show affection to his parents before. Really, it's just how they are. They're wired. Nothing against them, but my parents are always like, hug here, hug there, kiss me on the cheek, stuff like that. It's just how people are raised. It's fine.
yeah,
I told Neil, I was like, especially with your son, he needs to be able to see that love. Like, kids need to be able to see that. And I know you sometimes can make you uncomfortable to show affection and love to anybody, but it's something you've been able to, like, Daddy, give me a kiss, and you go, here, give me a hug, and not be like, oh, I don't want you on me. It's like, here, I love you, son,
Usually it's when I don't want him on me, it's because he's climbing.
No, but that's only about
standing
only
on my
the
shoulders
only
or
time
doing something.
Pulling your eyebrow
Using
hair.
me as a jungle gym.
Yeah.
He
He doesn't bite anymore. That's good.
while I'm trying to work or
Yeah.
something, that's when it's,
Yeah.
But other than that.
You've definitely grown in that. That's where that balance is.
yeah. That reminds me of another episode. The cool thing about this podcast is, like, I think all of the episodes can kind of relate to each other in a way.
The more you do, the more you'll be able to pull in too.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that reminds me of this one episode I had with one of my friends. We were in a Christian organization together in college called M28. I don't know if it was M28 there when you were at UNCC.
So I did nothing in college except go to college. I was,
Okay.
Again, this has go back with my anxiety. I was like, get college done. That's it. Like, I did nothing. I was just, so I have no time for this, which I had plenty of time for this. Anyways.
You realize how much time you had when you have kids.
Yes, exactly. But continue.
Yeah.
Sorry, M28.
Yeah, but the reason I brought that up is because like I was saying, it reminded me of that episode I did with my friend, and something he mentioned towards the end of it was how, and this kind of going back to that love languages topic, he was saying how it's important to know how to give that love to somebody else, but how it's important to, how did he say it? He said it like in a way that was like, he worded it perfectly. I guess it's important to know how it's important to know how to receive that love, but also how to give it. And so what I'm getting from that is y'all have kind of helped each other to grow in that area.
Oh yeah.
To where, cause I'm kind of the same way. I'm like, it reminds me back to when I was taking my date to prom, and we were at the mall and she was trying on prom dresses and stuff. And she would come out in a different dress, and I'd be like, that looks all right. That looks cool, you know. And she would always say,
no, I'm pretty much like the answer. I always like, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
it drives her absolutely nuts. Like she'll be like, "How was dinner?" I was like, "That was pretty good."
Yeah,
and then she's just like, "She gives me some other answer."
I know. Or I'll answer. That's the other thing I do to annoy him / myself. I'm like, "It's pretty good." He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "It's okay." Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I'm not lying. Like it does look good, but I'm trying to figure out how to, like, you know.
Exactly. I totally get it.
Well, here's advice. Like, you can tell me what you don't like about the dress. That'll help me too. I'm like, oh, do you have any problems with this? Oh, no, don't strictly. Okay, there's like.
See, that I would take it to that extent. When I'm not going to go there because that'd just be
so
bad.
Like, before I get myself into trouble, I'm just going to say, my mouth shut. The other thing I would, when it comes to like growth and like how we've grown with parents, and we don't have much time for each other. That goes with the intimacy. But one thing I know is he still loves me, and I believe I still love you.
I know you still love me.
Even though we have like 1 minute right before like we're already in bed and we say I love you to each other, it's like we know we'll both still be there. It's like anything could happen. It's like I know Neil will be there. I know his love, even if we haven't said I love you in 5-10 days, whatever. We say it. It's like, even though I get 1 kiss a day, whatever it is, like, and we do it's more than that, but like I can feel his love for me through his actions, like when I was sick or when I was in surgery. Like, he didn't have to say, I felt his love. When he's like, hey, instead of you having to cook, I'm going to go pick up pizza from whatever. I'll take the kids. Like, that's a big thing for mom, not to have kids, having them the whole day.
Yeah.
Like 15, like he'll be gone 15, 20 minutes. That's it. That is big for me. Or I'm like, hey, while you're working, I know the kids have been a little loud. I'm going to go out to the park with them for an hour and just give you that. Don't have to worry about the kids being loud if you're on a call, whatever. Things like that. How we show each other love, but know that love each other is those little things. And just I have never had to worry if my husband loves me.
Yeah.
At all. So.
And that's awesome. I think it just goes to show how intentional God is, because going back to the story of how y'all met, that first like interaction, and then immediately after, y'all were already experiencing a period of like 3 months, right?
Oh, wait, 3.5.
It really
yeah.
longer than that,
months.
because I was gone like 3.5 months, and I was back 10 days. And then I was gone for several months again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I still
we
had
were
additional
able to
training.
call and video chat.
Not through MCT, I wasn't.
Oh yeah, for like a
Yeah,
month.
so then I had another month where no communication at all, and then after that we could at least talk on the phone or whatever.
Yeah.
But
We
but
went
it was
through
basically from like, I was home for Christmas for a couple weeks too.
Yeah.
But I was gone the majority of the time from like from a July all the way until February.
Yep.
Wow.
Right? And I was a reservist, so it wasn't too bad after that, right? Then I was home 90% of the time. So it was fine after that, but up until that point, it was like, it wasn't just boot camp, it was after that too.
Yeah.
It was a little better, but still I was gone. So
yes, with that whole time thing, having gone through that early, I think that kind of helps y'all now, to where even though the time may not always be there, y'all have already been through.
We've gone
like
through the struggles of very early in our relationship, so God could lay that a stronger foundation.
Yeah.
God laid that, and you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
God laid the foundation early, so that way for our relationship, whatever would come across, like we went through a miscarriage before I moved back to Charlotte, and that was big. Like, but God gave us that love for each other and to get through, and how to support each other during that loss.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to be able to now have these 2 beautiful kids, and I hate that I've experienced that loss, but I treasure my children so much more after experiencing that loss. Because I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but like we could be gone tomorrow, and they could be gone. Like something could happen, car wreck, plane crash, whatever, and I would have my children. And I'm like, that kills me, but I treasure them so much because of the loss we've experienced.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know lots of that's.
It's
It's one thing that's like not talked about that much, but like it's so common.
It's very common, and it needs to be like communication needs to happen about it for sure. I know.
Yeah.
What is it? The 5K that we support here. I can't remember it for the life of me.
Out of the ashes.
Out of the ashes.
That's
5K.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
We support that here too, and that like I want to be able to do one of their 5Ks. I just haven't been able to. Yeah. But they trying to get infant and pregnancy loss, and it's out and where it's talked about and not discouragedly talked about. I like what they have to do in the community, what they're, from experience. Sorry let's change the subject. We can talk about it more, but let's,
No, yeah, that I think is powerful, just the fact that, y'all were both saying, y'all know that no matter what happens, you're both still going to be there. And I think, like you were saying, with that foundation of having that time away from each other early on, and then also what you had said, I don't remember exactly, but just kind of summarizing, you were saying if we can get through this, then we can get through pretty much. We're good,
Yeah, and we have, and I know there will be more struggles that come. Like we have not experienced half of what married couples have gone through.
Yeah,
and there's struggles to come, but I know with God's help, with what we've learned from other struggles we've had, and just how we are, I know we can get through them. Like, there's more to come. We can tackle it together.
Yeah. Sure.
For sure. Yes.
yeah, and yeah, that, like I was saying, that's powerful, and it is like an inspiration to other couples as well, because I think something that you had mentioned earlier that y'all do a really good job of is communication. Mm-hmm. And, that's something I even tell my parents as well. When I when I get to that stage where I'm married and stuff, I want it to be like 100% communication. Obviously, you don't.
There's stuff we don't communicate.
Yeah. You not like every single thing. But,
I just pooped.
Yeah.
Made toilet. Well, I didn't tell you. Not everything. I can see
there's some stuff that it's like it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
Like
Can
just
be.
took the trash out, like whatever. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Anything important.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it's not good to ball it up, especially when your significant other is there 24/7. Like he works from home now. We are pretty much there 24/7. But giving that communication, like communicating early on is definitely like the groundwork for not having to communicate all those things. Like even when we don't, like I said, even when I don't hear I love you, I know he loves me. Mm-hmm. It's like, but communicating like, okay, I know I can spend, again, back to spending this amount of money without communicating on him on this. I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Also, like I can make this decision without him because I know we've talked about it before. Especially with the kids, I'm like, okay, I can go do this. Noah would be okay with it, or I can take the kids here. Amber would be like that. Communication has happened long before and so we don't need to do it now. Communicated before, but we can also communicate later. Of like, okay, update the raw whatever it is of like, okay, have our ideas changed about this? Of like we talk about church still of like, okay. Do we do like a revamp of like, okay, how's our giving here? Do I need to scale back on service here? Do you think we have the time to add this? And then just, again, communication is constant. And one thing I would suggest to you is start it early on. and just keep at it, because if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah.
And that's why we constantly talk. I'm like, we talk a lot in the car. That's one thing, like, because the kids pass out in the back.
Usually the kids pass out.
Yeah. So we're like, hey,
usually
how you
the
doing?
Least stressful time.
Exactly. Yeah. Eli's like, what are you doing? What are you talking about? I heard my name. And I'm like, shh, go to sleep.
They're just interject constantly. Yeah.
Those are my two. I think I gave you two. It's like early on and constant. There you go. Sorry.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely. You definitely want to, continue the way you started, even though there is going to be an evolving, as long as when it starts off with like a strong foundation, then
it's
you'll be
easier
good.
To continue it. It's just
Yeah.
much easier.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I know we're getting a little close to the end, but my last question to y'all, not to put y'all on the spot, but for any couple out there that may be in their late teens, that's together, that's looking towards a future, what advice do you have for them? And then for couples that are in, still young in their marriage, what advice do y'all have for them?
I want to hear your logical side first before I add my communication
I was going to let
side.
you go first. I gotta
On the
think of an
spot.
answer.
I can start with an emotional thing, and then you can start logic and emotion. Attaching this.
Yeah.
Okay. See, communication works. We've already been talking about it. It's communicate. Start communicating early, like as early as you can in a relationship. For me, like I said, it's not worth my time if you don't want to talk about these things, because these are important things to me. It's like you go, yes, you're a couple, or you can go into being a couple for like the young couples, teens, and young adults. Yes, you are an individual, but you want to work. If that's what your ultimate goal is, and you want to work towards that, you have to lay down, this is what I am, this is what I want, but also how would you see our future together? You work from individual to couple with communication. Big thing. Your turn.
That would be like what was worked really well for us to be on experience is when you're looking for somebody, like you said, you can't imagine somebody being dating somebody who's exactly like you. Or I would agree. I would completely agree. I mean, we've got definitely we definitely fill each other's gaps.
Yes,
on
that's
that type of thing. I think that's a very important. It's very important in general. Because everybody has things they're good at and things that they're not particularly good at. And if your significant other kind of fills some of those gaps, it's extremely helpful.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
It's extremely helpful because there's some stuff the creative side for me, it just doesn't.
We work really well together when it comes to projects, though. And that's the thing.
And that's the thing, because we work differently.
Yeah,
we work differently. So find somebody that you can work well with, but differently at the same time.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the one big important aspect to it.
Another thing would definitely be like there's constant growth. Like I said, next chapter, like, hey, we were newlyweds, or we were dating, newlyweds, had kids. That changed a lot. There's a lot of change, and there's a lot of growth in that. It's like your relationship is never going to be the same ever. Like from the beginning to the middle to the end, and nothing is going to ever be the same because you're going to have that growth. So you can't ever really be ready for that growth, but you can be expectant of it. Of like, okay, I can't wait to have kids. No, that's not what I'm talking about. It's the setting up, like we've been talking, set up with that foundation of like, okay, I remember before I was pregnant with Eli, I'm like, this is what I'm worried about. I was like, what if this happens and we get divorced because we have this kid and we don't talk to each other and you want to leave me because we don't love each other anymore. He's like, well, why would that ever happen? I'm like, I don't know. I have hormones going through my body and I'm emotional. But we talked about that before. So it's like we slightly prepared for that growth and change, but it's like we knew that change was coming.
Yeah.
But be ready for change and know that it will change because nothing's ever going to stay the same.
Yeah, like both individually you'll change too.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's
Not
like,
just as a couple, but individually. Like
I'm not the same person that I was when
No.
I was 18. You know what I mean? Like not even close. You know, it's just like
I can't
things
imagine
change,
loving
your
you anymore,
priorities-
but I do.
Your priorities change. Your like everything change.
Yeah.
It changes throughout time, and I'm sure it'll continue to happen. 20 years from now, I'll say the same thing. I would be very confident of it. I'm sure you'd say pretty much the same thing. Yeah, I mean
we can give advice for ages, but I think we can end with this: is like go to God. Like
Yeah.
That's right.
If you cannot foresee how like communicating with each other, embracing the change, go to God. Like he will show you. Like there's definitely times like I don't know how to broach this with my husband, but I don't even know what it is anymore. Whatever. It's like I need to go to God first and see like, you know, how is God going to provide me the knowledge, or how are we going to get through this but always with God's help. And like oh, maybe we need to go to marriage counseling. Maybe it's just a wait and see. Maybe it's I'm going to provide it to you now. Like whatever it is, you have got to go to God. Like whether it be early family planning,
Yeah.
it be financial. Oh my gosh, that's a big thing. like, and how we communicate with each other is like how God will provide is like, hey, you know, God's going to provide this somehow. We have to have that faith that He will provide it.
Yeah.
Or like God's giving us the ability to when you need to learn to wait patiently to be able to get that new car, you know, or new used car. You know what I'm talking about. I don't buy anything new. But definitely go to God in relationship. Do you have something else you want to add for the going to God thing?
pretty much nailed it. Yeah, I mean it's
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Good.
Yep, pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I just
I'm-
need a button for you. This is what Neil says.
Yeah, but yeah, that was amazing. I'm definitely gonna be rewatching this, taking advice because I'm gonna need it in my life. But yeah, thank y'all both for being here. Like I said, I know y'all both are busy. I know y'all have a family in town as well, so y'all have that. But thank y'all for taking the time to be here, have this conversation. You know, I'm sure someone is gonna listen to this and they're gonna be blessed by it. They're gonna definitely be taking notes, definitely just be encouraged by it as well. So again, thank y'all for being here. For those of you that are listening, I said last week, I'm trying to figure out a name to call y'all, and I came up with it. I'm going to call y'all the storytellers because everybody has a story and somebody in this world needs to hear it. So that's what this whole podcast is about, to bring different people on to share, stories of their lives, experiences, situations, things that they've overcome, things that they may still be going through. And, by hearing their story, it can help you with yours, and just affirms the fact that you're not just part of the story, but affirms the fact that you are the story. So again, thank y'all for listening. Thank you, thank you, storytellers, for listening. Once again, if you haven't already, make sure you follow the podcast on the streaming platforms from Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iTunes. That'll be a great help. That'll put this podcast in the ears of more people to hear, and just not only help myself, but I believe God is doing a great work here. So I believe it'll help the kingdom as well. So please go and share that with anybody. If you're watching on YouTube, again, please subscribe. All of the other things I forget. Share.
Notification bell.
Share. See, hey, they're doing better than me. But yeah, notification bell. Please share with everybody. Share it with your friends. Share it with your neighbors. Share it with your school people. Share it with your people at work. Share it with the person that you met at the gas station while you were pumping gas. You got
on your Facebook page, Instagram.
Share it everywhere.
Twitter.
We need this. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. Leave a comment, just any advice, any tips, how you thought about the episode. Even if you have prayer requests, go ahead and share that too. We'll be praying for you and everything.
Pray for Gabe.
Yeah, pray for me too. Pray for me. But yeah, thank y'all for tuning in. If you've made it this far, thank you again. Also, I have the Reclassified. That's this website where I just post blogs on there, different things that God puts on my heart to share, you know, whenever I'm studying. If I feel like I just can't just keep it to myself, I feel like sharing it, I just put it on there. I haven't posted on there in a while, but I'm trying to get back into it, so just bear with me. But, you know, it'll just be a blessing if y'all check that out. It's thereclassified.com. If you've been listening to some of the other episodes, you know the story behind the name for that. But yeah, I think that's everything. But yeah, once again, thank y'all for listening. Thank you, Amber. Thank you, Neil, again for being here. And we'll see y'all next time. Peace out.